Welcome to another episode of Soul Over Matter podcast. I'm your host, Michelle. This is a podcast for souls along the awakening journey. And today we have a special guest with us, Melissa Lambour. She is a Reiki Astrogeo guide, a business consultant, an author, and founder of Cosmic Roadmap, as well as an engineer. So welcome, Melissa, to Soul Over Matter. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing wonderful, and thank you so much for having me here to share my story. I've been enjoying diving into my story as I keep learning about myself. I just submitted my second chapter in a multi-author book earlier last week, and that's allowed me to birth more of my story because it just helps untap so many things within us. So that's where I'm at.
Unlocking, right? The unlocking that happens of more keys opening up doors within our soul blueprint. That's so beautiful. Can you talk more about being an author and what the book is about, what your chapter is about?
Yeah, so my last chapter in Legacy Speaks that came out in May, that was more about my journey, like my spiritual awakening and how I got into Reiki Astrogeography. And this chapter is it goes more in depth about belonging. So the whole purpose of the work that I do in astrogeography is to connect people to where they're meant to be. And it's because of that longing to belong. And I went back and forth trying to figure out what my chapter was really about. And that was the thread, the belonging. And also my dad left around 16, and that abandonment wound and not feeling seen. And I realized that a lot of people need that connection to something tangible, so somewhere in the world. And that's essentially what my chapter is about. So helping people find their place with astrogeography. So
Yeah, can you tell us more? It's so beautiful, that belonging, right? I mean, all the souls on this planet are looking to belong. Can you talk more about astrogeography? I love this topic so much.
well, astrogeography, it's essentially locational astrology. And if you look at if you pull up a map on astro.com, it's planetary energies, essentially your horoscope or your astrological lines all plotted on a world map. And based on your goals, I try to connect you with the energies that are meant to either amplify what you're trying to do in the world. And that's my way of going about, where I look at the planetary energies as like an archetype, like so it's a little easier to digest. And then figuring out this cosmic roadmap, and that kind of leads me into where my business is going, where eventually it's going to turn into cosmic roadmap, because I am building these cosmic roadmaps with my clients to figure out where they're meant to be, where they're meant to build their businesses, their legacies. And it's growing and expanding, and it's a beautiful thing.
Wow, yes, I love the name too, Cosmic Roadmap. How did you get into astrogeography? I feel like a lot of people don't know even what it is. So how did it find you? Because it always finds us, right?
Yeah, it found me at a yoga studio about 2 years ago. It was after a yoga class, and somebody was like, that you can figure out where to be in the world with astrology. And I'm like, yeah, right. They pull up the map, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I need to look at all the places I've been to and figure out why I felt a certain way. And I essentially had them up for like months, for like 5 months. And I was like, okay, like, Asia, all right, like I have this energy there. And it makes so much sense why I love being there. And my chapter was really it was like a love letter to Southeast Asia, because I have my moon node there, which is your purpose line. And I feel like I kept tapping into my purpose every time I went there. It wasn't easy to be there, but I definitely connected in some way, and I always wanted to go back. And that's why I've been there over 10 times.
Wow.
Even when my partner didn't want to go there, I was like, yeah, I got the tickets already. It was just this soul connection that I had there. And it's because I was just so drawn to my purpose and tapping into my purpose every time I connected there. And I continue to tap into that purpose with my partner here, right, in the US. Yeah, so that's how I got into it. And then yeah, about a year later, I was trying to figure out, what do I do with my business, like with creating a business. And I had Reiki certification, but I didn't necessarily want to use it in the traditional sense. I wanted to weave it into something else, something that was my own. And yeah, I combined Reiki with art, and then that didn't like work out. I'm like, that's not a good fit. And then the Reiki and the astrogeography just seemed so perfect because I was pretty much helping people balance the inner and the outer energies. So, and that's how I created my business last year, and I've worked with 50 amazing souls to this point. So
Me being one of them, the
yes.
the work you did helping me with my nodes and all of if you can chat more about the archetypes, like what are, like you chatted about the moon node and how it's connected to our purpose, and how beautiful that you were intuitively pulled before even knowing what astrogeography was. It's like our soul always knows.
Yes.
So what are some archetypes that people can tap into if they say do a session with you or look online?
Yeah, the most obvious would be Venus. If you're looking for love, if you're getting out of a relationship and you're trying to connect to that love energy or relationships, Venus energy would immediately get you to that. Mercury for good communication, Saturn energy, which is it's a little bit more disciplined. So if you're trying to get more structured, that's definitely the energy to tap into. Um, Mars is more for like passion and drive, to really like boost that in your business or in your life. And yeah, Moon energy for home, for tapping into like that home or family vibe. Pluto energy, Chiron, and Neptune are more of the spiritual energies, and Pluto being a heavier energy because that's the rebirth and transformative energy. And I live on my Pluto line, so that tends to be a roller coaster of lessons. So just to understand that these energies, even though they may have a heaviness to them, it depends on what your goals are and what you want out of your life. So Pluto may be a good energy to shift something in you, to get you to that next level. And yeah, Chiron is for healing, and Neptune for just tapping into your spirituality or spiritual practices.
Beautiful. And how do you do this? Like how do you tap into, like how do you look into astrology as geography?
With You mean with astrogeography, how that
Yeah,
works?
like how do you find that map for the soul? Like do you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah. So how I combine it is, it depends on the goals that someone is looking for. Like if they're looking to start their business or maybe figure out where to do a retreat, then I would tap them into maybe like Neptune energy for spirituality or Chiron for healing, because for a retreat that's essentially what you need, or maybe even Pluto energy for that transformation to happen. Um, and yeah, the astrological part, um, yeah, you're just connecting to those energies either from a distance or in person. So from a distance, you would be imagining that place, just by meditating or even trying to astral project yourself to these places. you can definitely harness the energy of all these energies that are unique to you based on your astrology, your astrological chart.
So it's essentially like a chart on the map, like on the map of the world.
Yeah, these energies that are unique to you from the time that you were born are plotted on a map.
With the clients you've had, have you noticed patterns, like your personal story of how they've already been places that are on certain lines?
Definitely. So I ask for 3 locations, and that kind of, guides me into seeing where they want to go. And when we do get into a session, I'm like, well, why did you pick Colombia? Or why did you pick France? And a lot of times intuitively, like we spoke about earlier, we're just drawn to certain places because we're destined to connect to that energy, to that planetary energy. And when they get into a session with me, it's like that aha moment. Like, I didn't realize that I was always called to this place because it was already written in the stars. And that's what astrogeography does. It's that missing link. So it's just beautiful when I see that in my client's face, where like, oh my gosh, like you are finally, giving me that reason to go to this place. And I have so many clients that at this point, they are dropping everything and moving to these places that they've been thinking about. But the astrogeography session was that final, like, this is meant to be.
Wow, you are helping
Yes.
people's lives just by validating those soul urges, right? It's, wow, that's powerful, Melissa.
It is.
Have you had
And
anyone
it's
come after you for that? Like,
if they ever came after me for
yeah, like family and stuff, they're like, what, you're dropping everything to go to this place? Like, what happened?
not their families, but they, I've had many messages where they're like, because of your session, I've moved.
Wow.
Like, I've
How does that
dropped.
feel?
Yeah, it's amazing and scary at the same time because there's a responsibility, right, with the work that I do. And at this point, 50 clients in, I'm like, I think it's either there's something there, right? There's definitely something cosmic, and I feel guided in some way when I look at the maps, because anyone can look at the maps, right, and figure and come up with some type of interpretation. But for some reason, when I pull up my clients' maps, there's something that I'm always drawn to, and maybe they mention 3 places, and I'll be like, oh, they didn't mention this place, and they're like, oh my gosh, I was going to mention that, but I didn't want to. And yeah, there's just something. Yeah, there's something there that I don't necessarily understand, but we're intuitive. And
Yeah, we're not meant to bring logic to it, right? I
yeah.
mean, I started looking into astrogeography maybe 2 years ago. I remember going to astro.com, and I don't remember where I heard it, and looking at this map and all the lines, and maybe I picked up 1 or 2 and I researched or looked up their meaning. But when I had a session with you, it just brought so much clarity. So you literally are that missing link between someone's soul urges that make no sense sometimes, right? And then their action, right? Taking that aligned action.
Right.
And I also feel it's so beautiful because after the last year and a half we've had, right, you are helping almost give people a permission slip to go after their dreams, to follow those nudges. And a lot of people couldn't do much for what, like 9 months.
Yeah.
So that's really amazing.
And my business was birthed in the midst of the pandemic, because I also had these urges to travel and figure out how to connect to the world in a different way. And it was energetically. Yeah.
Wow. So you were saying you don't always have to go to these places. What are some other ways that people can connect with the energies from that place besides astral travel? Like, what are some other easy tips you can say to
Yeah,
people?
easy tips would be, start looking at Netflix or YouTube, and I was deep into like the vloggers, like the travel vloggers, Anthony Bourdain. He's one of my inspirations, and I actually mentioned him in my chapter because he came through somehow. And in my previous chapter, Che Guevara came through because of the motorcycle diaries. Like I really loved his story in the diaries, and that's pretty much why it planted the seed of learning how to ride a motorcycle, and finally doing that in the next few months with a motorcycle like adventure expedition of some kind. But yeah, that
Can you tell us more about the motorcycle adventure?
well, the motorcycle adventure, that's going to happen in Spain. It's definitely because I'm connecting to my Venus line. And my Venus, I have one that goes through New York, but then Pluto is just kind of throwing things off. So my like pure Venus line goes through like the south of Spain and also the Canary Islands. So that is May 2022. I will have my tickets ready to go, and by June, yeah, it'll be a few months in Europe just riding around.
Oh my goodness.
With my partner, because I'm still in training on the motorcycle, but yeah, that is the dream.
So you said travel blogging.
Yeah,
like
so different ways to connect. Sorry, I like sidetracked.
No, it's
yeah, so yeah, the travel vlogs, also having pictures to kind of like meditate on these pictures and learning. So the travel vlogs are very important because you start to learn about the culture. So you tune into the energies of the people there, also arts, if you're buying like artisanal like arts, either jewelry. I wear batik all the time, so from Southeast Asia, from Malaysia, Indonesia, and that it has energy in itself because you know that somebody created this, and they probably they drew the images on it, they put the wax on it, and just all the work that was put into it. I just feel like wearable art is definitely a huge like way to tap into the energies of a particular place. Yeah, going to museums to see art from places, and also in person now that things are kind of opening up, maybe going to like cultural centers in different cities to connect to different cultural practices. Yeah, that's essentially how I keep connecting to things. Wearable art, going to museums or collecting art, and going into those travel vlogs.
Yeah, especially after this past year and a half, right? I found myself watching Anthony Bourdain and different places to almost emulate, right? That feeling of travel and the travel bug. Would you recommend, like when you say wearable art, is it when it's actually from the place, or images and maybe materials that are from there?
Yeah, it could be images, patterns from a particular place also that kind of trigger like the emotion that you're in that place. Maybe like a pattern, maybe it could be like a motif or something, right? That may be like a Mexican style, or the batik. That's usually has like a very particular design. So definitely tapping into that. Yeah, I think. Oh, and also I was going to mention crystals because one of my clients actually created almost an altar. So after our session, she collected all these little crystals from all the places that she was meant to go to, or that she had like an influential planetary energy there. And it was so beautiful because now she, depending on what energy she wants to tap into, she'll wear a particular crystal from a place. So that's another way to really tap into those energies.
That is so beautiful. I get to try that. That my whole body was like, yeah. Like, what have we been waiting for? I think we had our session a few months
Yeah.
ago, and it was really eye-opening. And I can attest to that, the places I mentioned, and then you saying, oh, it's because of so and so and this line and that line, were places I've been to before. And I feel like that's also just a testament to us as humans, right? That like we underestimate our intuition, we underestimate those soul urges, and it's being able to tap into that. I love that, like wearable art, crystals, maybe clothing, right?
Yes, definitely.
Mm, yeah. Oh
And
my
it's something that's on your skin, right? So you just feel it. It's something.
food, right?
Yeah.
Food, herbs.
Food, yeah, food, herbs, yeah, any like perfumes, like anything. And scent is like the strongest, right? One of your senses that can bring you back to a particular memory. um yeah, just thinking of the senses, right? Like sight, hearing, taste, scent. um yeah.
Touch. Yeah.
Touch, exactly.
This is coming through. Do you feel that, and this is your opinion, right? Our astrogeography is tied to past lives?
I did have a client that when I would share with her particular places, it felt like it was like past lives, or there was a connection somehow to their ancestors.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, like they're either their like grandparents' land, and they had like a moon line there, and moon line being family, right? Family home. So I've definitely seen that throughout.
I just got chills. But it's all connected, right?
Mhm.
All of these modalities. And I'd love to know how you combined Reiki into this astrogeography.
Yeah, so Reiki, it's helped me understand, um, especially after I had a Reiki session, my lower chakras were definitely, they needed some fire. And I combine Reiki and also Ayurveda in my sessions, because I realized that um, the nutritional component, the environmental component was would help me with my lower chakras. So Reiki kind of like figured out like, hey, your lower chakras were there's no fire there, and that was my creative center. Also the safety, right? The grounding. I was lacking all of that when I had that session. And using Ayurveda, using foods that would add fire, um, also incorporating like a fireplace, even if it's an electric fireplace, to have that fire component. It helped to help me remember that I'm adding fire, right? That element to my life, to really ignite all the things that I wanted to do. So that's how I incorporate Reiki and Ayurveda in my sessions, because I know that's definitely a component for you to approach travel from a very balanced perspective. Otherwise, we're all escaping, without without the balance. You just want to go off to France for whatever reason, and you don't know why. And it may be that you don't feel safe in your body, and that feeling is just going to keep following you. So I do like to nip it in the bud, and get any energetic issues out of the way, so you can keep, traveling from a balanced place.
Beautiful. Can you talk more about Ayurveda? We haven't chatted about that on the show yet.
Yeah. So Ayurveda is the sister science of yoga. And like I was mentioning, it takes into account your environment, and also the food that you're taking in, the nutritional component. So with Ayurveda, everybody has a body type. So you have three types. You have the Pitta, which is fiery, Vata, which is very airy, ether, and Kapha, which is grounded and earth. Um, and just taking that into account, it helps you understand what environment you're meant to be in. So if you're a Kapha, very fiery, then you'd be okay in Iceland because you can tolerate the cold temperatures. If you're a Kapha or a Vata, you tend to lack fire, and that's me. I'm a Kapha Vata, so that's why I was lacking that fire in my lower chakras, and why I love combining Reiki and Ayurveda, because it helped me understand my body and to understand that that's why I was always going to Southeast Asia, because I was meant to be in a warm environment. So there's a reason why we feel called to certain regions, and that's why I love incorporating it into my sessions, because a lot of people, they either don't know about Reiki, like the energetics, or they don't understand that they're meant to be in a certain environment to help them be balanced.
So Pitta's fiery, right? So Pitta fiery, you want to be in the fire, or you don't want to be in the fire?
So Pitta, you think about it like if you're a Pitta, then you want to kind of balance it out with the cold. So you want to be in a colder environment. So they wouldn't do well in Southeast Asia, in like a hot
desert or the jungle.
Yeah.
It's too much. Yeah. Yeah, I'm Vata, so I love the desert. I love the heat and the moisture as well.
Exactly. So and Vata would be better in a hot, humid environment, because Vatas are dry, like in terms of their body qualities, and also the mind, like thinking of it just like air. Yeah, they do benefit from having water being added to their system, where a Kapha, they do have water, so they would be better, they would be fine in the desert. So I love going to Arizona. Yeah.
Amazing. How can people find out about Ayurveda? Because it's like food and body type and all the sciences of that.
Yeah, I started with Sahara Rose. Her books were really good. I know she has a book, Eat Feel Fresh, and that's one of my go-to books that I loved. And that's a cookbook. It's a vegan Ayurvedic cookbook.
Thank you. And so what if you were saying, if someone, like even you were saying for yourself, like the fireplace, like just emulating that fire energy, what that would be associated with the sacral chakra, like which?
Yeah, that would be the sacral or the root chakra. So the root chakra being the red, right? And then the sacral being the orange. And also the solar plexus, right? With the yellows. So you get the yellows, orange, and the red. And that's something that I also mention at the very end of my sessions, to really focus on those chakras, to even imagine, because our minds are so, so strong, to imagine the colors, just kind of enveloping you. That it's as simple as that. But yeah, having those symbols, and also that does help to increase the energy in those places.
And then the other chakras would be other elements.
So the other elements, yeah. So for the heart, that tends to be like more earth energy. So going out into nature, and then as you keep going up, the throat chakra being blue, so more like water energy. So yeah, just thinking of it just like the Vata energy, which is more air, ether, like as you keep going up to the crown chakra.
Wow. It's just amazing that you intuitively created a business with like 3 powerful
modalities.
energies.
Yeah.
And you're like, I just did it, right? You just what made you follow that nudge of just being able to combine what seemingly feels like different energies, but when you describe it, it all makes sense.
I don't know what it was, but I was diving deep into Ayurveda. And then at the very same time, I had my Reiki certification. So I saw the patterns, and that's what I am. I see patterns, and as an engineer, I think there was just, I was meant to weave these together. And you're making me realize, like, oh wow, these are completely different modalities, right? And like, how did you bring them together? But I saw it. I just saw the connection there, and I knew that's what brought me back home. And I'm helping people find their home through astrogeography. So helping them come back home energetically and helping them find their home, on Earth.
Wow. Oh, that just hit my heart. Yeah, right. And it's a lot of times we teach what we've learned, right? And it's so intuitive, and no one else can do what you do, right? No one else can. And even if there are 10 Reiki teachers or 10 astrogeographers, right? It's our stories that make that blueprint, or stories that bring our clients or soul family to us. And so you're saying that with diving deep into Ayurveda, diving deep into astrogeography and Reiki, and being able to meld them together, you were able to find your belonging.
Yeah. And now I continue to help others find that belonging. I do like to work with immigrant communities, BIPOC communities, especially, a lot of communities that have felt marginalized. Coming from an immigrant family, my parents, they came from Guatemala, and just watching their journey in this country, in the US, has definitely, I have so much compassion for people trying to make it. And if I can offer just a little bit of guidance through astrogeography and Reiki and Ayurveda, that's all that I hope for.
Wow. And how do you do that? Do you have events in your town? Do you do virtual events?
Yeah, I've been doing workshops, and I've also gone to recently to an open mic night where I share my story, and just through the books, right, where I share my story of my spiritual awakening and how I got to astrogeography and my business. And then recently my latest chapter that will come out in January in Lineage Speaks, but that dives a little bit deeper into how I've felt disconnected from my ancestral lands, living here as a first generation American, my parents having come here to the States, and finding my belonging in that sense. So I've definitely connected with more first generation Americans that have felt the same way, where they've grown up here and they just feel so disconnected, where you're in limbo, like you're not American and you're not where your parents are from, and they're just figuring out where your true belonging is, regardless of your ancestral connection.
Wow.
And figuring out that cosmic connection.
Yeah, that soul connection, right? That are people surprised when you let them know, like where their lines are, where their soul is meant to tap into, maybe not in person, but just energetically?
Yeah, definitely. I know, at least for my chart, I don't have any strong energies around Guatemala. So, and it makes sense because I haven't been called to actually go back to my ancestral lands, and it feels a little off, right? It's like I should be going back, but I'm meant to be doing my work from a distance from my ancestral lands, and understanding the connection that I have, that cosmic connection to my ancestors, where the Mayans, they looked into the cosmos, and connected in that way to see patterns in nature. And yeah, I it's always people are always surprised when I tell them, yeah, you should be going to Japan or to this place, because they never thought of it. They never thought of going to that particular region of the world.
And you're doing what the Mayans are doing. You're seeing the patterns in real
Yes.
time, in modern time. You're like
Yes.
a cosmic engineer these days. Wow. Yeah, I think every soul wants to belong, right? I mean, that's, I think a human, one of the strongest human desires, right, is to be seen and
Right.
heard and feel like you belong. So the fact that you're able to have helped yourself through that, and now with 50 plus clients, I mean, I'd love to chat in a couple of years and see just how your business booms. And because this is so unique, it's your energy, your blueprint as well.
Right.
Just, you don't find this most places anywhere.
Yeah, it's very rare. Um, and I just hope for it to keep expanding. With Cosmic Roadmap, I hope for it to expand into group programs. In February, I'll be doing something related to love, so like looking to the stars for love. And it'll be for individuals, people that are single, and also for couples. So I would have two separate ones. So kind of like spicing things up with the stars. And then the other one would be, finding your love through the stars, or looking to the stars for love. So yeah.
Wow.
So
So
that's,
Cosmic Roadmap is your rebrand.
yeah, essentially, like I'll still be operating under my name, but Cosmic Roadmap is what's going to be, yeah, what my business is going to keep expanding into. So yeah, it's a little scary to kind of, yeah, to be rebranding and growing, but that's where I see my business going. So
Trusting, right?
yes.
Following.
Yeah, the name came to me and I'm like, I just got to go with it. Like there's something there. So just like when I started my business, there was something there.
Yeah, trusting that nudge and knowing that you're helping so many. And then with group programs, right, you're able to help more people at a time. And I mean, right, if we don't feel fear, then we're in our comfort zone, and we didn't come back to earth to be in our comfort zone. So I'm excited for you. I think it's great to have that balance of fear and excitement, because that's your soul letting you know, like, we can do this.
Mm-hmm.
I can just tap into all of the souls, all the clients that you're going to be helping, and couples. And I mean, I've experienced your session and it's magical. So whoever's listening, Melissa will share her info at the end, but it's potent, it's clarifying, it's healing, and really eye-opening. Like, I learned so much in our session about, yeah, my purpose and why I've been called to certain places and why I felt stuck in other certain places. But yeah, you are definitely imprinting your magic all over the world, right? That cosmic roadmap. It's so, and you're also living it, right? You're embodying your work, which is so important now more than ever, to walk the walk, right? To talk the talk, to
Exactly. Because as I leave my job in a few months, I plan to astro map around the world. So connecting to all those harmonious energies that I've been missing out on.
oh my gosh, that are just waiting for you. They're like, come, Melissa. I could like feel them. They're like, yeah, she's coming soon.
Exactly.
Congrats on that. That's a big, big leap. And yeah, it's, your energy is needed in other places. And Wow. So exciting. It's so expansive. Like this conversation's been so expansive and so intuitive and magical. Yeah. What what lights you up besides your business, besides, who we are on our Instagram and all
Mhm.
the things? What brings you joy? What lights you up?
Thinking just a nice motorcycle ride. And
Mm,
it could be just around the neighborhood. Like we have a typical route that we take, and just seeing the seasons change. It's beautiful to be in nature and feel the wind, not necessarily against my face because you're fully geared up.
you're like energetically, I feel the wind.
Exactly, but it almost feels like being on a plane. The
Mm,
the air, like the resistance as you're going through, um as you're riding, feels like being on a plane. So maybe I'm trying to replicate some type of, yeah, feeling that I've been yearning for, now that I'm not traveling as much on a plane.
yeah. When was the last time you traveled?
Oh, well, I was recently in Egypt, so that was
Oh,
back in July. And that could be a whole other conversation.
yeah.
But I was tapping into my Neptune energy, my Chiron, and my Pluto, which are the three like healing energies. So it was very introspective trip. Um, yeah, where I didn't even feel like journaling. It was just me being with my thoughts. And it started out me connecting with dolphin energy
Mm,
and on the Red Sea, and just swimming with them and being on a sailboat for a week, and then just making my way through Egypt for 3 weeks, through Luxor, through Alexandria, through Cairo, and then back to Hurghada or the Red Sea. So
wow. Swimming with dolphins in Egypt in the Red Sea. That just sounds
yes.
out of a storybook.
And
Yeah.
if you know about dolphins, they're supposed to be descendants of Sirius B, right? The star system. So
Oh yeah, dolphins and I, we go way back.
mm.
We go way back. Yeah. I mean, they say that dolphins are like almost galactic beings on Earth, right? Holding the codes, them and the whales. Yeah, that's so powerful. So even, yeah, so it's been a couple months for you when you're like, all right, I got my motorcycle rides. Those are bringing me joy. And I can't wait to travel again.
Exactly.
So is that your next, you said February, right? Oh no, is it May?
Yeah,
May?
May, I'm officially leaving my job, and then by June, it'll just be me in the world.
The digital nomad. I'm
Yes.
so excited for you. What advice can you give those who have these callings and even like whether it's business, whether it's love, whether it's travel? What can you say to them that are afraid to take that leap?
To start traveling, to just make that, to start small, to just start, maybe it's a trip to the Caribbean, or and then just little by little, like, oh, maybe I'll go to Mexico, or maybe I'll go to Europe, and yeah, making those trips a little longer as you go. um, because I realized I used to take like 1 week trips, and then they became 3 weeks. And then I took a solo trip down to Peru and Bolivia by myself. Even though I was a traveler, I had never done a solo trip.
Mhm.
And that was in 2018. So close to, yeah, 3 years ago. So it was, yeah, I was already in my mid 30s, and yeah, it's not easy. But you just have to rip the band-aid off and just go.
Yeah. Yes. I think travel is one of the most exhilarating things, right? Because it almost like taps us back into our inner child and that
Yeah.
curiosity, right? Not
And just figuring things out as you go. Like that, I think that's the most exhilarating part, where it's like, oh my gosh, I need to figure out to get from point A to point B, and they may not understand me. Like luckily I speak Spanish, but sometimes you go into different countries and they don't understand your particular accent or dialect, and there's different words, and you're kind of miming to get out of a particular, town or city. So yeah, that's the most exciting part, and things work out. You do meet amazing people along the way, and even as a solo female traveler, you do meet a lot of other female travelers on the road. So I was actually very blessed to come across some amazing female travelers as I when I was
and
down
like
there.
I can feel the energy of that. It's so powerful. Yeah, it's ripping the band-aid off, trusting ourselves, right? Trusting that we can do it. Like you just said, it
Mhm.
always works out. We're protected, we're safe, and just trusting that. Oh, I'm so excited for you. I can feel that energy of next year for you, that shift and
Yes.
stepping more into the expansion, also into the unknown. Yeah, this was an amazing conversation. Your words are going to help a lot of people, because I also feel like a lot of people don't even know what astrogeography was before this conversation. So yeah, thank you for being here. Where can people find you? Where can people work with you? What events or offerings do you have?
Yes, so people can currently find me at melissalambour.com. And I offer one-on-ones, either individual or couple sessions. And I am including, or I'm doing VIP sessions now, which are more business consulting or life consulting. So that would be a deeper, like one-on-one for 4 weeks. So that's my newest package. And then in the next year, Cosmic Roadmap, my website will be going up, and also my podcast. So that will be launching at the end of January, and Lineage Speaks will be launching also in January. So definitely keep an eye out for all the amazing things that are coming to
So,
fruition.
yeah, so exciting. You have so much magic to share with this world that you're already sharing. So yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much for being here.
Thank you so much. And also the group programs that are coming out in February.
Yeah.
So yes.
Oh, love the Venus line. Yeah.
Yes. Connecting to love.
Amazing.